Washington, D.C. Just one of the things the Scots gave to the world. Now, if you didn't realise that, then you need to keep watching. Anyone that knows anything knows that Scots invented and influenced the world way beyond the country's size. But did you know that Washington, D.C. was named by, built by, and erected on lands owned by Scots? So if you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen and ring the notification bell to be told when I upload new videos. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. This is the Potomac River. On the other side is Arlington, where the Americans have their war cemetery. Further down that bank is Alexandria, a well-known port for Scottish tobacco imports. Some of it, no doubt, grown on George Washington's Mount Vernon plantation further down that riverbank. On this side of the river is Georgetown, with its famous Georgetown University further up that way. I suppose nowadays you'd say it was a suburb of Washington, but Georgetown was established before Washington, D.C. was thought of. And you might think that George in Georgetown came from George Washington, but it doesn't. This place was born in Fife. If you want to understand how this all got here, I need to take you back to the Wars of the Three Kingdoms. If anyone around here is even aware of it, they'll probably call it the English Civil War. I'll leave a link top right to some videos about Scotland's role in it. Suffice to say that when the English chopped off Charles I's head, the Scots named his son Charles II. Oliver Cromwell invaded, and the Battle of Dunbar led to the most horrific forced march, imprisonment, starvation and death of thousands of soldiers in Durham. Having chosen the wrong side, you were sold into indentured servitude. If you were lucky. One such lucky chap was Fife-born junior officer Ninian Beale. Ninian was transported across the Atlantic, and by 1652 he was in the service of a plantation owner about 50 miles southeast of here. Of course, after a bit, Oliver Cromwell died. The English realised the Scots had been right all along, so they invited Charles II back to the English throne. It turns out Ninian had chosen the winning side after all, and he was given 50 acres of land. Woohoo! With a bit of a military background, now that he was his own man, he got involved in fighting indigenous people. He got promotion after promotion, and such was his steadfast service to Maryland beyond the age at which he should have retired, that as a reward for sterling service, he was presented with 3 Negroes. When I left my last job, all I got was an engraved tanker. Ninian Beale lived a life that was full and 92 years long. In later life, he put forward various land claims and was awarded a total of 13,000 acres. But what concerns us is the 800 acres that he received around here during the reign of Queen Anne. Reminiscing about Scotland, he called the area the Rock of Dumbarton, and this rock commemorates his life. As the 17th century turned into 18th and the glorious revolution at home led to Jacobite uprisings, Ninian brought 200 Presbyterian Scots to settle in this area that became known as Little Scotland. By the time that Bonnie Prince Charlie was marching to Derby, Glasgow merchant houses dominated tobacco traded from here in Georgetown and across the river at Alexandria. If you've ever walked down Glassford Street in Glasgow, this is where John Glassford and Company made the money to build much of what we call the Merchant City. And most of the land around here was owned by Scots. Beales, Gordons, Peters, Magruders, Dunlops, Davidsons and Bowies. This house is the oldest property still standing in Washington. Of course, the plot on which it stands was bought from George Beale by a couple called Lehman in 1764. In 1751, the Maryland Provincial Assembly appointed 8 commissioners to lay out what would become Georgetown. 6 of those 8 commissioners were Scots. Of the clerks tasked to administer the area, the first 3 were Scots. Now, I told you Georgetown wasn't named for the later famous Washington, but the town was built on the land owned by 2 Scotsmen, George Beale, who'd followed Ninian, and George Gordon, are why this is called Georgetown. The core of this land that was originally called Rock of Dumbarton survives today as the Dumbarton Oaks Estate in Upper Georgetown. The Dumbarton Oaks Mansion House is now a library and research centre for Byzantine studies. Dumbarton House is a museum dedicated to the early people of the formation of the United States. And this is Tudor Place. It was built by the family of Robert Peter, the first mayor of Georgetown. You just know he was Scottish. Tudor Place is now an historic house and museum that celebrates the early people of the United States, both slave and free. But it was home to the descendants of that Scottish family right down to the 1960s. Georgetown's first postmaster was William Magruder. Now, the Magruders had been MacGregors. If you want to know why MacGregors changed their names, then come back and click top right to watch my video, Forbidden Clan. Magruder's Grocers is still owned by one of William's descendants to this day. Now, I don't know if you know this, but in the 1770s, some folks who lived in these colonies turned into a bunch of rebellious tax dodgers. Shameful, I know. Anyway, at the end of their French-aided treacherous rebellion, they decided to build a new capital, but they didn't want it to be in any one of these 13 states. So they took a little bit of Maryland on the north side of the river and a little bit of Virginia on the south side of the river, and they carved out the District of Columbia. Now, in the 700 acres of land between the Tiber Creek up there that ran into the Potomac River over there, it was owned by a Scottish immigrant called David Burness. Now, he died 30 years past, and it was now in the name of his grandson, also David Burness. And it was on this land that most of the capital would be built. This is Washington Mall. This is the Capitol building. This is Pennsylvania Avenue as it runs from the Capitol to the White House. This is the Treasury Department, and we'll be back here. Now, not all the White House was built on Burness's land. The land here, on which the north side of the White House and Lafayette Square now stands, was owned by another guy called Samuel Davidson. Scottish. Purchasing the land on behalf of the new government. Treacherous rebels. Was one Benjamin Stoddart, the grandson of a Scottish immigrant who, along with a more recent immigrant and graduate of St Andrews University called David Stewart, were 2 of the 3 commissioners appointed to plan and site the new capital. The third guy doesn't matter. The point is that not only did a Scotsman, Stoddart, buy the land from other Scotsmen and plan the capital layout with another Scotsman, but it was also he who named it Washington in the District of Columbia. Now, Every self-respecting American knows this guy. He stands in front of the Treasury building. Born on the Caribbean island of Nevis, Alexander Hamilton here is the illegitimate, self-educated Scotsman who was responsible for building federal America, its constitutional government, and a smash hit, hippity-hip, hop, hop, hop musical. But who built the physical buildings? As you walk towards the White House from the Treasury building, you'll notice how many of the architectural features are Georgian. And of course they are. It was the Parliament of George III against whom the colonies had rebelled. Now, apparently, George Washington had insisted that the White House be built of stone and be decorated with ornate carvings, in keeping with the standards of a national capital. So, where would they find stonemasons to work such elegant, attractive, and high-quality designs? Were there such tradesmen with recent experience of building neoclassical crescents and squares, who had built a new town of Enlightenment thinking, an Athens of the North? Edinburgh!
You mean Edinburgh?
Piss off! Anyway, in 1792, Britain was at war with France, and the government banned skilled workers from emigrating. Of course, wartime isn't a great time for financing great building projects, so lots of skilled stonemasons found themselves unemployed. Now, we already know about the Scottish connections of the commissioners who laid the place out, and through a bit of persuasion, generous wages, payment for travel, and Masonic handshakes, a bunch of guys from Lodge Number 8, Edinburgh, were induced to defy the government ban and cross the Atlantic. The stone for the White House had been quarried and transported from Aquia Creek, Virginia, under the supervision of another Scotsman called Colin Williamson from Murray. His role now finished, etched all over the White House building itself, you'll see the signature left by stonemasons of a double Scottish rose. In the White House Visitor Centre, you can also see an example. Now, obviously, that's not original. The replica was created by Charles Jones of Historic Environment Scotland when the White House Association invited him to follow in the footsteps of Scots who had gone before. And he came here in 2018 to create a display version. So you see, Washington, D.C. was conceived by Scotsmen, named by a Scotsman, and built by Scotsmen on land owned by Scotsmen. In fact, I'm tempted to walk up to our White House and claim it back for Scotland.
Dad, they've got guns.
What? The police have guns here?
No, everyone here's got guns.
Is there nothing about this country that's civilized? I bet they even spell that with a Z.
They call it Z?
Look, I've got other videos about incredible Scots who built America before they gave up on spelling rules. You really should watch the one that's coming up on screen now. We can only make these with your help and support. So support the channel by clicking top right to become a Patreon member, or buy me a coffee in the description below. Have a nice day, y'all.